This is Bible Lesson 27.1. This week we're going to be talking about the 10 lepers and how one man thanks Jesus. Listen and look at the picture as I read the story. Jesus healed many sick people as he shared the good news about God's kingdom. There were 10 men who had a sickness called leprosy. They had painful sores all over their bodies that would not get well. They didn't have to stay in bed, but they were still very sick and sad. Because of their sores, they had to stay far away from people. People who were well didn't want to get this sickness. So the men had to leave their homes and their families. Day after day, they had to stay outside the city. They were very lonely. Other people didn't even come near the place where they stayed. Then one day they heard that Jesus was coming to their town. The sick men must have talked excitedly. Maybe Jesus will help us. He'll be walking by here any time now. They stood far away and watched because that was a really bad sickness. Soon they saw him. The men began to shout, "Jesus, Jesus, please help us." Jesus stopped and looked at the sick man. He loved all 10 of them. Jesus said to them, "Go to the temple now. Show the priest that you are well." The priest was one of the leaders of the people. When someone got well after being sick like this, the priest had to look at the person to be sure that person was really well. Remember, back in those days, they didn't have a whole lot of doctors. I don't know if they even had any doctors. So the priest had to help these people. Well, the men believed Jesus. They started running down the road. As they hurried off, they looked down at their hands. Then they looked at their legs and their feet. The sores, the terrible sores, were gone. Jesus had made them well. They couldn't wait to get to the temple and show the priest. They began to run even faster. Suddenly, one of the men stopped. He remembered something very important. He turned around and he came back to Jesus. He was probably pretty excited to get to the priest so that he could be told that he was all better, but he had something he wanted to do. So he turned around and came back to Jesus. When the man saw Jesus, he knelt down in front of Jesus and said in a loud voice, "Oh, Jesus, thank you for making me well. I healed 10 men. Where are the others?" Jesus asked. The other men were still hurrying towards the temple. They were happy to be well, but they hadn't thanked Jesus for making them well. Only one man showed he loved Jesus by turning around and returning and thanking Jesus for what he had done. Do you think they were thankful? I think they were thankful, but they forgot their manners and they forgot to thank Jesus. This man didn't. He remembered, and his heart was so full of thanks for making him well, because that sickness was really bad, and it made their skin all peeling and yucky. Okay, if you have your Bible workbook page 105, then if you get that out and some scissors and glue, we'll get on this. Okay, I think I've got this cut out. Nope, I didn't cut this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you cut these out. Cut out like we've done this before, like this, where we cut 4 pictures out. So I'm going to read down here. There were 10 men who had leprosy. They lived away from their families. Do you see 10 people who are sad because they are living away from their families? I think this one would be the sad one of where they're living away from their families. So you cut this one out and you paste it in this one. Okay. Number 2. And I'm just going to draw from this to over here. So I'm going to go down here. The 10 men saw Jesus and shouted for him to help them. Let's see. Do you see somebody shouting? Is this one shouting? That one? This one, they're shouting, aren't they? So we're going to put this here, okay? Now, 3, remember this 1, 2, 3, 4. They don't go across on these. So number 3, Jesus told the 10 men to show the priest that they were well. So which one is Jesus telling the men something? I think this one. I'm going to get a different color so we can tell what it is and make it a fat line. So this one, Jesus is telling them, go tell the priest, show the priest that you're well. So that one would go there. The 10 men began to run down the road, but only one stopped to thank Jesus. Do you see that one? Only one stopped to say thank you, Jesus. We need to remember always to thank Jesus for what he does for us. It's very important. Okay, so once you've done that, let it dry, because tomorrow's lesson we do the back of this paper. Okay, you have a great day. Bye-bye.